The room hummed with the faint thrum of alien technology, an orchestra of quiet power. Riley Carter adjusted the stiff collar of her academy uniform, her gaze sweeping over the other competitors. Each one represented a pinnacle of evolution: sharp-eyed Xerian tacticians, towering Valka warriors, and the crystalline Lumina scholars whose mere presence refracted light into rainbows. In this crowd, Riley felt alarmingly ordinary. "Welcome, students," boomed the disembodied voice of the overseer, a synthetic blend of calm authority. "You are the galaxy's finest. Today, you will prove it." The overseer's holographic form flickered to life at the center of the room, a humanoid figure cloaked in shimmering data streams. It gestured to the towering doors behind them, carved with intricate patterns from 100 worlds. Beyond this threshold lies the final examination. It is designed to test not only your knowledge but your adaptability, creativity, and resilience. Riley stole a glance at Zalvar, the Zynar prodigy standing to her left. His translucent, elongated head tilted slightly as he dissected the overseer's words, his seven-fingered hands clasped behind his back. He noticed her looking and smirked. "Do try to keep up, human," he said, his voice smooth and condescending. "This isn't one of your quaint Earth games." "Funny," Riley shot back. "I didn't realize being insufferable was part of the curriculum." The room snickered softly, but the tension in the air was palpable. The doors hissed open, revealing a vast chamber that seemed to stretch into infinity. Gleaming walls pulsed with energy, and the air was thick with the scent of ozone. Dozens of tables materialized, each adorned with a unique symbol representing a species. Riley found hers, a simple circle within a square, humanity's insignia, and approached it cautiously. "Your first task," the overseer announced, "is a foundational exercise in collaboration. You will be grouped at random and must decode a series of encrypted sequences. Success unlocks the next phase. Failure means elimination." Riley's heart skipped a beat. Collaboration. Random. The words echoed ominously as glowing streams of light emerged from the ceiling, linking students into clusters. She followed her thread and found herself paired with Zalvar, a Lumina named Zevrai, and a hulking Valka named Korak. Zalvar's expression darkened. "This cannot be serious." "It's a team exam," Riley replied. "We're a team. Get used to it." Before Zalvar could respond, the tables transformed, their surfaces now displaying a dizzying array of symbols, equations, and alien languages. "This is child's play," Zalvar declared, his fingers darting across the console. "The Zynar solved such puzzles in our infancy." "Great," Riley said. "Then you won't mind if I suggest a faster approach." He hesitated, and Riley seized the moment. She began organizing the symbols by pattern rather than language, leveraging a human strength often overlooked: lateral thinking. As the puzzle began to unlock, the room dimmed. The overseer's voice returned, but this time, it wasn't calm. "Warning, external interference detected. Simulation lockdown initiated." Riley froze. Around her, the walls shifted, the room tightening as an eerie hum grew louder. "What did you do, human?" Zalvar hissed. Riley shook her head. "Nothing. I think this is part of the exam." But deep down, she knew it wasn't. Something was very, very wrong. The lights in the chamber flickered, casting strange, fractured shadows across the gleaming walls. A chill crept into the air, sharp and unnatural. Riley instinctively stepped closer to the table, her heart pounding against her ribs. "Simulation lockdown," Zalvar muttered, his voice a thin thread of unease. "That wasn't supposed to happen." "No kidding," Riley snapped, her eyes darting to the walls. The previously smooth surfaces were now shifting, their luminous patterns fragmenting into jagged, chaotic shapes. The overseer's holographic figure flickered erratically, its once commanding presence now distorted into a jittering mess. "Attention," the overseer's voice crackled, layered with static. "Unscheduled, interference detected." Adapting protocols, the voice trailed off, replaced by an ominous hum. Korak, the towering Valka, slammed a fist onto the table. The sound echoed like a thunderclap. "What is this? Is this part of the test?" "No," Zalvar said, his usually calm demeanor fraying. His hands danced over the holographic console, attempting to access the system. The simulation has been compromised. Someone has taken control. And what does that mean for us? Riley asked, forcing her voice to remain steady. It means, Zalvar replied, his gaze fixed on the flickering console, that if we don't regain control, we're at the mercy of whatever is running this now. Before Riley could respond, the floor beneath them shuddered. The tables dissolved into streams of light, and the room itself began to morph, walls stretched and contorted, merging into an endless labyrinth of corridors. The group was suddenly standing in a featureless hallway, the glowing paths beneath their feet the only source of illumination. "We need to move," Zevrai, the Lumina, said, her crystalline voice vibrating with urgency. "Standing still in a compromised system is unwise." "Move where?" Korak rumbled, his fists clenched. "We don't even know where we are." Riley scanned the corridor, her mind racing. The labyrinth was unnervingly uniform, with no discernible landmarks or signs. Yet, as she squinted at the glowing floor, she noticed faint variations in the light's intensity, a subtle trail leading into the distance. "There," she said, pointing. "The light's brighter down that way. It might be a clue." Zalvar scoffed. "Brilliant. Follow the glowing breadcrumbs into the unknown." Typical human instinct, blind optimism. "Got a better idea?" Riley shot back. He didn't. Reluctantly, the group followed the glowing trail, their footsteps echoing in the silence. The corridor seemed to stretch endlessly, the walls pulsating faintly as if alive. The eerie hum grew louder with every step, vibrating in their bones. After what felt like hours, the path opened into a circular chamber. At its center floated a massive, angular device, an intricate fusion of alien and human technology. Its core pulsed with a menacing red light. "What is that?" Zevrai whispered, her crystalline body shimmering in the glow. "Not part of the simulation," Zalvar said grimly. He approached the device cautiously, his hand scanning the air for residual energy. "This tech, it's human. But ancient. Predates your current civilization by millennia." Riley's stomach churned. "What's it doing here?" Before anyone could answer, the device emitted a low, resonant hum. The red light flared, and the overseer's distorted voice returned. "Challenge initiated. Adaptation required. Survival critical." The walls began to close in, and the floor beneath them shifted. "Run!" Riley shouted, but she couldn't shake the sinking feeling that this was no longer a test. This was something far worse. The circular chamber dissolved into chaos as the walls shifted, grinding like massive gears. Riley darted forward, grabbing Korak by the arm as the floor beneath them began to splinter into glowing, geometric fragments. "Move, now," she yelled, her voice nearly drowned out by the deafening hum emanating from the ancient device at the room's center. The group sprinted for an opening, a narrow corridor that flickered into existence on the far wall. The chamber groaned as the collapsing walls accelerated, jagged shards of energy erupting in their wake. Riley pushed herself harder, her legs burning as she followed the faintly glowing trail that had guided them before. Behind her, Zalvar's voice rang out, strained but steady. "This isn't just a malfunction. The system's adapting to us, it's steadying us. Not the time for a lecture." Riley shot back, her breath ragged. They stumbled into the corridor just as the chamber collapsed entirely, a blast of light searing the space behind them. The door sealed itself, and the group slumped against the cool metallic walls, gasping for air. "This is no ordinary interference," Zevrai said, her crystalline form dimmer than before. "That device was a trigger, a test within a test. But its origin, it is not of the Academy." Riley leaned against the wall, her mind racing. The ancient device, the human-like elements, the system's sudden hostility, it all pointed to something bigger, something beyond the Academy's control. "What if this was planted here?" she asked aloud. Zalvar raised an eyebrow. "Planted? By whom?" "Humans," Riley said, the word heavy on her tongue. "But not us. Not the humans we know. Something older." Zalvar snorted, though his tone was less dismissive than before. "Humanity's historical arrogance knows no bounds. Why would an ancient civilization sabotage an exam meant for interstellar unity? Not sabotage, Riley countered. A warning. Or a challenge. What if this whole academy, this test, is built on something humanity left behind, something it never intended anyone to find? The silence that followed was thick, broken only by the faint hum of the corridor. Korak finally spoke, his deep voice steady. The device called for adaptation. It spoke of survival. Whatever this is, it wants to see what we're capable of. Then it's time we show it, Riley said, standing straighter. The corridor ahead of them pulsed with light, forming a path deeper into the labyrinth. The group moved cautiously, the weight of the unknown pressing heavily on their shoulders. As they advanced, the environment grew stranger. The walls flickered between alien metals and organic materials, as if the labyrinth itself couldn't decide what it wanted to be. Symbols, some recognizable, others utterly alien, flashed along the surfaces, hinting at stories and technologies long forgotten. Riley stopped suddenly, her eyes catching a familiar shape among the shifting symbols, a spiral intertwined with a triangle. She knew it from Earth's ancient history, a symbol found on ruins no one could explain, tied to humanity's earliest myths. "It's us," she whispered. "What's us?" Zalvar asked, stepping closer. "This symbol," she said, pointing. "It's human. From a time when we weren't supposed to have spacefaring technology. But it's here, embedded in this system, as if this test was designed with you in mind," Zalvar finished, his tone sharp. Before Riley could respond, the corridor shifted again, its walls narrowing into a claustrophobic tunnel. The hum intensified, and the overseer's distorted voice returned. Challenge escalating. Human ingenuity required. The floor beneath them lit up, and an intricate puzzle of shifting tiles appeared, glowing with impossible complexity. Riley took a deep breath, her fingers twitching with anticipation. "Guess it's my turn to shine." Behind her, the group formed a loose circle, ready to support her as the true challenge began. The glowing puzzle tiles stretched before Riley like a labyrinth of logic, each piece shifting and reshaping with dizzying speed. The patterns were maddening, a kaleidoscope of symbols from a dozen different alien languages. "Human ingenuity required," the overseer's distorted voice repeated, echoing through the narrowing corridor. "No pressure," Riley muttered, stepping forward. "Are you certain you can handle this?" Zalvar asked, his skepticism cutting through the tense air. Riley shot him a glare. "Unless you've suddenly become fluent in ancient human hieroglyphics, I don't see you volunteering." Zevrai moved closer, her crystalline body emitting a soft, calming glow. The tiles respond to touch. But the sequence, it's not random. There is intent behind the chaos. Intent doesn't mean it's solvable, Korak rumbled, his fists clenched as he scanned their surroundings. And we don't have time to waste. The walls are closing in again. Riley crouched, running her fingers over the nearest tile. The surface was warm, humming with energy. Each tile she touched seemed to respond, shifting into a new configuration. Her mind raced, piecing together fragments of the puzzle. "Look," she said, pointing at a recurring symbol, an intricate spiral intertwined with sharp, angular lines. "This symbol keeps appearing. It's a guide, like a breadcrumb trail." "It could also be a trap," Zalvar countered, though his voice held less venom than before. "Or it could be the only way out," Riley shot back. She pressed a tile, then another, following the sequence the symbol suggested. The room responded immediately. The tiles shifted, their light intensifying as the pattern began to take shape. But the changes were accompanied by a deep, mechanical rumble, the walls narrowing with every passing second. "We're running out of time," Korak growled, glancing at the ceiling as it began to descend. "Then stop distracting me," Riley snapped, her focus unyielding. Her hands moved faster now, guided by instinct and a strange, inexplicable familiarity. The puzzle wasn't just a test of logic, it felt personal, as if it were designed specifically for her. She felt a connection to the symbols, a resonance she couldn't explain. "What is she doing?" Zalvar muttered, his voice tinged with disbelief. "Trust her," Zevrai said softly. "This is what the test seeks: adaptation, intuition, and trust." Riley pressed the final tile in the sequence, and the puzzle snapped into place. The corridor flooded with light, the oppressive hum silenced in an instant. The walls halted their advance, retracting smoothly into their original positions. For a moment, there was only silence. Then, the overseer's voice returned, clearer and more deliberate than before. Stage complete. Human creativity verified. Proceed to final challenge. Riley exhaled, her hands trembling. She turned to face the group, exhaustion written across her face. See? Told you I could handle it. Zalvar opened his mouth, but for once, no biting remark came out. Instead, he nodded, a grudging acknowledgement of her success. The corridor ahead of them shifted again, revealing a massive, domed chamber bathed in golden light. At its center stood a towering obelisk of black stone, its surface etched with the same spiral and triangle symbol. That looks important, Korik said, his voice unusually cautious. It is, Riley said, stepping forward. That symbol, it's human. And it's ancient. Whatever this place is, it's tied to us. As they approached the obelisk, it began to hum, a deep, resonant sound that seemed to vibrate through their bones. A holographic figure materialized above it, a human form cloaked in shimmering data. Welcome, the figure said, its voice rich with authority. You have passed the trials designed to test the qualities that define humanity, creativity, resilience, and adaptability. These traits have guided us through the stars and beyond. The group stared in stunned silence as the figure continued. This facility was constructed long before your time, a safeguard against a galaxy that might one day challenge our legacy. You have proven worthy. Now, unlock the knowledge we preserved for you. Riley stepped closer to the obelisk, her heart pounding. Why did you test us? Why now? The figure's expression softened. Because humanity's strength was never its technology or its power. It was its spirit. And the galaxy needs that strength again. The obelisk flared, casting the room in blinding light. When it dimmed, Riley stood before an open chamber within the obelisk, its walls lined with glowing data modules. This is our legacy, the figure said. Use it wisely. The group exchanged glances, a shared understanding passing between them. For the first time, Zalvar's voice was devoid of arrogance. You're more than I expected, human. Riley smiled faintly. We all are. Together, they stepped into the obelisk, ready to embrace the ancient knowledge and the challenges that lay ahead. The obelisk chamber pulsed with energy, casting a kaleidoscope of light across Riley and the others. Data streams flowed along the walls like liquid fire, forming symbols and equations that seemed to whisper secrets of the universe. Riley stepped forward, her pulse quickening as she approached the central console, where a glowing interface awaited. This is it, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. This is what we've been fighting for. Be careful, Zalvar warned, his tone uncharacteristically serious. We don't know what activating this will do. It's human technology, Riley replied, placing her hands on the console. If anyone can figure it out, it's me. The console responded instantly, the light shifting to envelop her hands in a warm glow. A holographic interface appeared, displaying a complex network of data pathways. Challenge escalation, the overseer's voice intoned, though now it sounded less mechanical and more human. Final trial initiated. Sacrifice required. Riley froze. Sacrifice? What does that mean? The room trembled, and a massive holographic figure emerged from the obelisk's core. It resembled a human, but its features were abstract, a blend of light and shadow. Its voice was calm but unyielding. To unlock the full potential of this knowledge, one of you must remain behind to anchor the system. The process requires a living mind, a conscious connection. The group exchanged stunned glances. You mean, someone has to stay here? Forever? Korik asked, his deep voice tinged with unease. Yes, the figure replied. The anchor will become one with the system, their consciousness preserved but isolated. It is the only way to stabilize the release of the legacy. That's insane, Zalvar said, stepping forward. There must be another way. This test, it's flawed. The test is not flawed, the figure responded. It is designed to measure what you value most. The choice must be made willingly. Without it, the knowledge will remain sealed. Silence fell over the group. Riley's mind raced, her heart pounding in her chest. The weight of the decision pressed down on her, suffocating and inescapable. It has to be me, she said finally, her voice steady despite the turmoil inside her. What? Zalvar snapped. Don't be ridiculous, human. You've proven your worth. You don't need to throw it away for this. I'm not throwing it away, Riley said, meeting his gaze. This is what humanity is about, taking the risks no one else will. If this knowledge can help the galaxy, it's worth it. No, Korak growled, stepping forward. I will stay. My kind values honor above all, and there is no greater honor than ensuring the survival of this knowledge. I disagree, Zevrai said, her crystalline voice calm but resolute. My people are long-lived. My sacrifice would have minimal impact on my species' future. The debate raged, but Riley remained silent, watching each of them argue their case. Her mind drifted to the lessons of the trials, the emphasis on creativity, resilience, and adaptability. Humanity's true strength wasn't in sacrifice alone. It was in finding a way forward where none seemed to exist. Stop, she said, her voice cutting through the chaos. We're missing something. The others fell silent, their eyes on her. This isn't just about choosing who stays, Riley continued. The test is about finding another way. It's about proving we can work together, no matter how impossible the situation seems. She turned to the holographic figure. You said the anchor needs a living mind. But what if it's not just one? What if we all share the burden? The figure tilted its head, considering her words. Explain. Link all of us to the system, Riley said. Divide the load across our minds. No one has to stay behind permanently. We'll anchor it together. For a moment, the figure was silent, its form flickering. Then it nodded. Adapting parameters. Proposal accepted. The console flared with light, and tendrils of energy reached out, connecting to each of them. Riley felt a surge of warmth as her consciousness brushed against the others, their thoughts and emotions blending into a single, unified purpose. The obelisk trembled, its core opening to release a torrent of data that filled the chamber with dazzling light. The knowledge of an ancient civilization flowed into their minds, a torrent of ideas, technologies, and possibilities. When the process ended, the room was still, the obelisk now dormant. The group stood together, their breaths heavy but their spirits unbroken. We did it, Riley said, a faint smile on her lips. Zalvar looked at her, his expression unreadable. Perhaps there is more to humanity than I thought. Maybe there's more to all of us, Riley replied. As they stepped out of the chamber, the labyrinth dissolved behind them, leaving only the vast starscape of the Academy's simulated sky. The test was over, but their journey had just begun.